Hello, my name is Ghost, and today we're going to be going over the beta notes that have been out for a little over a day. Thought we'd kind of just do like a knee-jerk reaction, how everything's kind of feeling so far, and how everything's kind of been just coming together at least. So let me just get this open real quick. Blink. All right, I'm in the corner now. All right, so so far. Right, so far, the game can almost be described. Northgard, right? So Northgard used to be. Think of Northgard as like a pizza, okay? And on this pizza, it is just a good old-fashioned cheese pizza. It's nice. It's got the crust. It's got a little bit of content on it. Some cheese on top. There's, it tastes good. It's enough sauce that it's not too much. It's a little on the lacking side, but this. This new patch that will be implemented, you take anything you want and you put it on that pizza. This feels like it kind of gave Northgard the meat to the bones, if you will. With the wolf patch, with the bear edition, those were kind of like the skeletal pieces to the Northgard body. This is the organs, this is the heart, this is the eyes, the lungs. There is a lot of new content that has been added. That just, it feels very good. It feels very fleshed out, and I can only say that I'm really excited to see this get added to the public content. That being said, of course, there's always a few things that I would like to add or see, and it has only been out for a day, and this is a knee-jerk reaction. We'll see once it's been released to the public, once the new meta has been instilled. We'll see how it's going then. But these is just kind of the first reaction. So, first thing we want to talk about is Verðfrynur, which is basically the mystical hawk. I have the Wikipedia up because I thought we'd kind of give some get some background information, because of course with a lot of things that are Northgard, everything has some relation to Norse mythology. So, quick little summary: the spectral creature has been harmed by Draugr, and you might find him hurting somewhere around Northgard. Once you heal him to full health, Verðfrynur will rise and you'll earn 100 lore. Once healed, he'll wander around Northgard for a whole year and will discover 6 new areas for your clan. So now some background real quick. In Norse mythology, this guy was basically the hawk on top of the eagle. On top of Yggdrasil. So basically you have this giant tree on Earth, then there's this giant eagle, and on top of this giant eagle is a smaller bird on top of the giant eagle. Norse mythology is really interesting, isn't it? It's just so weird. It does not really say why the hawk is sitting on top of the eyes of the eagle or what the role may play, but this person theorizes that presumably the hawk is associated with the wisdom of the eagle, and that perhaps, like Odin's ravens, it flies around acquiring and bringing back knowledge, and that's, I think, what the devs were kind of going for with this unit creature, whatever you want to call the bird. And essentially what happens is, it's exactly as it says, you heal the bird up, which typically if you have about 2 healers, it only takes about a month of time in game at least, and it's really easy. I mean, it's not like maybe sometimes there's like wolves or Draugr just kind of on the tile, but it's not like it's a very difficult to get kind of side quest, if you want to call it that. And as you guys can see on the screen here, the model actually isn't that massive. It's probably about the size of, in terms of length, it's probably about 3 Vikings long and then 2 Vikings across. I mean, it's not a very big unit, and it does move around enough that it isn't always on top of your screen, and actually you can't even control it right now. And that's what I'm going to kind of dive into our first bit here. So it can scout 6 tiles, and it will go out about it. At least from what I've seen, it's not a very haphazard selection. It will always scout at least 2 of your opposing clan's tiles. So you'll always find out what the opposing clan is. Typically from, I'm gonna just call the bird Finror, just because it's gonna be a lot easier to say the whole name. But he'll go around, scout everything. He'll scout 2 tiles. Then typically it kind of goes into RNG mode, where he might scout a miscellaneous tile. He might scout a tile near your enemy faction's base. It's really kind of haphazard, and that's kind of what I want to get into the first bit here is I don't mind. I actually really enjoy having this new unit out because it gives a lot more diversity, and realistically, it's not a massive game changer. It's free. It's 6 free scouted tiles, which does help cut down time, but it's not like this is game changing. It's not like you might magically scout the Raven who has 6 shore. I mean, yes, that's important to know. But going into most matches, you already know what the clan of your opposing team is, so you kind of know what's going on. What I would really like is if you can either control the bird so that you can go and have it scout, just 6 tiles of your choosing, or it scouts the 6 tiles around anywhere on your side's vision. So if you have half the map scouted, the bird will scout the first 6 closest to your side. So it will always, push your vision out instead of it just kind of being these random 6 spots somewhere on the map. It's always a little bit more jarring because then it's like, okay, could have scouted that. Yes, I'm not interested in the 1 farm tile deep inside enemy base and enemy territory because I'm never going to get there anyways. If I know that my opponent, if I happen to scout my opponent who on their food tile, and I see all of their villagers, start running towards the training camp or the shield bearer camp, then I know, there's an attack coming and I can kind of prepare for that. So a little bit either more control or just better at scouting would be, I guess, the way I'd want to call it. The next thing is these little cuties called the kobolds. So they occupy several tiles in the map and they may have precious resources. If the player would want to get these resources, you'd have to wipe their camp, but doing so you'll lose the ability to trade with the kobolds, and be cautious. They are pretty generous allies, but very resentful enemies. In the day that I have played, I've actually used them more as constant trading. When I played as the goat, trading with the giants is great. But they eventually they become so friendly, they give you a giant, as a friend, and you can't trade with them anymore. So actually what I do as the goat, I don't colonize their tile, I don't take over their land, and I just use them as this perpetual trading economy so I can keep my plus 24, because once you run out of trading with the giants, then you're suddenly at minus 11 because all of your trading was going to one thing, and it's not like you're going to want to trade with the opposing team, so then you trade with these guys, right? And I actually I can't really tell you what the resources are. I would assume that it's probably some iron or stone, but I at least when I was playing, I used them a lot more as a trading partner, and that's actually exactly what I want to get into for the kobolds. Currently speaking, they do not have any special ability. They do not go out and attack anyone when you befriend them. They do not sabotage anything. They, again, as I use them, they were trade partners, and that's actually kind of how I would like them to be. The way that I kind of envision the kobolds, if you will, I see them as these little sneaky assassins that run around to your enemy's base and catch things on fire every once in a while based on your favor to them. So if I'm a goat, I've got 6 trade ports and I am trading all my food to them, they're going to be very favorable to me, and they might do something kind of, shady for giving them all this food and trading with all them for all the time. That being said, if I take over them or I take their tile, then I lose that trade partner. I really like the idea of having a neutral tile that doesn't disappear after late game. So after 805, 806, when I've gotten, I've traded with the giants and I've taken their tile, and now I'm kind of caught just trying to figure out where I can get the money to sustain this massive economy that I have. There's the kobolds, I really do like their idea, their design. It's very cute, they're adorable, and I do see them having probably some sort of use later in development as they come to be. And I did see that they can take other tiles. I played a game, they had their main tile, as you see here, which is just these little Jawa huts, and they colonized, I don't know how they did it because I wasn't watching them, but they actually colonized an empty ruins. And there were a few of them on it, but they didn't build any bases or anything, and I would actually kind of like to see neutral tiles doing something like that. I don't know if it'd be balanced or safe, But you know, in a casual match, it's actually kind of cool to watch the neutral tiles going around, because then in a casual match when you're playing against, you know, equal players, it'd just be the funniest thing on either side, winning or losing, to just see these little boogers kind of like crawl onto a tile, and suddenly you can't attack your opponent without pissing off your trade partner, because you know they're right in the middle of the way. But yes, you can trade with them, and you actually get a pretty good, decent amount of trade. I think they're just slightly lower than the Jotnar at first. I think they start off with +5, and then it's +6 for the Giants. So it is a little slower on the start, but they do ramp up the more you trade with them. Thor's Wrath, and we're going to talk about the lake in a minute, but the Geyser. So Thor's Wrath, so controlling Thor's Wrath tile and becoming a follower of the hammer-wielding god of thunder, colonizing this tile will grant you +50 fame and 5% faction-wide bonus attack power. So all units get +5% attack damage. I never saw this tile. I probably played about 6 or 7 games. I didn't see this tile once. Maybe it's because I was busy. I would get to the late game and I just never saw it. I'm assuming what probably happened was the Thor's tile spawned on one side of the map and then the Geyser spawned on the other, and that's actually exactly how I want them to spawn. I think it's a great way to give players a new dynamic, if you will. So if you spawn with Thor's tile, you're going to want to be more aggressive. If you spawned with the Geyser, you're going to want to play more of an economy, a slightly defensive early game, but then much stronger late game kind of thing. So it allows players to be more dynamic and, again, decision making, and you have to kind of play to your environment, which is exactly what Northgard has been shaping up to be. Switching over to the Geyser, so your clan can now relax, and this nice hot water source. Colonizing a Geyser tile will grant your player +1 in happiness and will reduce the wood consumption during winter by 10. I would like to see this change to your faction will now relax with this nice blah 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 blah, because this, I would rather have this over this any day of the week, because this is a faction-wide bonus, right? I get 5% on 30 warriors. That is huge. Or I can get +1 happiness and -10 wood reduction. You know, I think if you want to introduce new neutral tiles, I think that's a fantastic idea. I like it. I just think that you need to make them either incredibly dynamic, or you need to make them equal in some way. So it's okay if you have one that's more combat focused and one that's more economic focused, because then, you know, teams can play off of that. But you also need to make sure if one's faction-wide, the other one has to be faction-wide. You can't just have one purely faction-wide and the other one's just for player-based, because if I'm playing, you know, with Goat Bear Raven, and I get this guy against an identical team, identical skill, and they get this, only one person, you know, benefits. So that's really it for that. And now the new tile, the lake. The new lake tile always has fish, and the Bear Clan has a great chance of having one near their own town hall. From what I've played so far, the Bear always does have a lake next to their base, and it's fantastic. The catch is it's the only food you ever get next to your base. And I've played about 4 games as Bear. The lake is the only tile that you will get in terms of food. And it's rough. It is incredibly rough, especially if you're playing on hard, sometimes normal. Typically what I've gone for the Bear is I usually go from, I do sharp axes, mining efficiency, hibernation. I feel like I probably should do recruits. It kind of depends on how the game's playing out, but I go hibernation, and then I get harpoons. And then I go through the military attack. This is a nice addition, and I really like it, because what we will probably see is lakes, and you know, it's an island, right? It's an island. So when the island rises, you had ponds of fish that got trapped on the slowly rising island. So now, you know, closer towards the middle of the map, I would really like to see more lakes, more food. You don't, and especially as the Bear, most of your tiles will not be lakes, and you might get lucky and you might get one extra food tile, but lakes are actually pretty common on most of the other clans. I played with the Goat because I was curious about the balance, and I was 2 farms, a lake, and then a hunter's lodge, and that was just that was just pure RNG. The spawns are still very heavily RNG favored, and you're gonna see a lot of people get very upset when, as the bear player, you spawn in with 1 lake, the goat player next to you spawned in with 2 farms, a lake, and a hunter's lodge, and the guys on the other side spawned with everything in between, and you're stuck with just a lake, and you just starve, and you're always behind, and you just recognize, especially when I was playing as the bear, you feel yourself falling behind because you only have 1 food tile, and you're trapped, you're strapped to how aggressive you can be with your economy or your military because you only have 1 food tile. Yes, the lake is good. It's really nice because especially once you get harpoons and you upgrade the fishermen, your economy is very good, especially off of 2 lakes. It's amazing. It is very good. But you need 2 food tiles. The bear really, really needs these 2 food tiles, and I don't know if this was intended in the nerf, or in the update, but the bear's food has been nerfed kind of passively. They still do good. Their economy is still decent. They're much more food strapped. They're kind of like a pre-patch of the wolf before they got completely neutered. You know, the wolf's food gain was quite good, and then they got the first nerf with the axe throwers and everything, and now they are as they are now. And it feels like the bear is in that kind of first trial. They've been nerfed a little bit, and we're probably going to see another one kind of soon because the bear and the goat are still quite strong. I still believe that the goat and the bear are still the strongest clans, with the raven kind of following up close third if you have a player that is very good with raven. And on to the other additions. You are now notified whenever units enter a fight. False. If a raven attacks your base, you will not get notified. You get notified if units attack your tiles. You get notified if you attack a tile and then reinforcements come in. But a raven's mercenaries will not get notified. I lost 2 tiles playing against AI because I was never notified, and I got murked. But yeah, that was a little bit upsetting because it was like, okay, I know that there was a notification update. Why am I not hearing mercenaries? If it's intended, then dang, it's annoying. It is really annoying to get these SEAL Team 6 mercenaries to kind of mosey through. You can now choose the target of your healer's healing units. This is such a fantastic change. So now you can prioritize. So say you got like 2 villagers wounded, 2 woodcutters, and the bird, right? It just kind of, so you have, when you click either on your healer, I think you have to click on the healer's hut, I think. It'll bring up the box, and it'll actually show each icon and their health bars, and it'll have a white, I guess, outline of it, and you just literally click on whichever one you want them to prioritize, and they're good. I mean, this is actually a very nice addition for the healer's hut. It's just it's that small little, like, just helps with the micro of it. Disease modification. So a sick unit now loses 50% of its max HP while sick, and then stops being sick. So you get sick, you take some damage, and then once it is healed, you can actually heal the unit back to full HP. Again, it's just a nice little modification to make the diseases a little bit more interesting. And speaking of more interesting, we have the rat infestation, which now gets some of your units sick, and how many depends on your population. So shout out to Shiro Games, because I know I've been talking to Baroshi for a while, and this is actually kind of cool to see. But I think this is a fantastic way of adding more more threat, if you will. I mean, Draugr spawns, oh, it sucks. Blizzard, oh my god, it's terrible. Rat infestation. Yay, it's a rat infestation. I don't have to deal with anything. This actually makes the rat infestation a little bit more scary. It doesn't make them deadly, but I think this is still, it's a good way to make them challenging, and I think that's what the rat infestation needed. I think it needed something to make it just a little bit more difficult, if you will, because it used to be, oh, I'm safe at 1200 food. You know, when am I ever going to get to that unless I'm goat? The next modification, when your population is starving, buying food while keeping your food production below 0 will not reset your starvation status anymore. It only delays the illness arrival. So basically, this is saying the trade post trade reset thing does not work anymore, kids. You're going to have to get, if you are going through a blizzard and you are at 0 food and minus 23 starvation, and you buy 100 food, you will still, excuse me, you will still have starvation. It will just go down to 0. It will have to hit 0 again before illness starts again. So basically, all you're doing is you are delaying when you get sick people. You are not resetting the happiness. You are not resetting that timer. Essentially, until you hit +1, you are still starving. Your people are still starving, and you're just not getting sick, basically. And same thing with food, wood, I would assume as well. And I don't know if it applies the same way as gold. All right, so some more changes. Most of these were pretty much focused at nerfing the goat. Still feel like goat is pretty good. I played the remainder of the 4 of whatever games I played, and the goat still feels pretty good. I mean, you have to play a little bit differently, but it's not like, you know, oh my god, this is the end of... Let me put it like this. The goat have not been nerfed to the level that the wolf has. The wolf, still the wolf. I still think that the wolf actually needs a buff, some way to get them to survive at least to the mid game, but the goat is still doing much better than the wolf. I would still put them on a higher pedestal than the stag, and maybe just a slightly higher pedestal than the bear, but I still think that bear and goat, at least currently in my knee-jerk reaction here, I still think that they are the strongest of the 5 clans, excuse me. And that's really it. Carpentry Masteries is down from 30 to 20%, so essentially you can't get a good stone, you know, you can't get the 40 stone, get mining efficiency, and then just upgrade everything in your kingdom with Carpet Masteries. It is down from 30 to 20, so it doesn't give you, you know, the massive upgrade cost, I guess. It doesn't give you a very reduced upgrade cost. It still is expensive. Goat Amenities has been removed and is now replaced with Shipbuilding, formerly Medicine. What this is saying, so in your Sharp Axes, you had Sharp Axes, you'd go Sharp Axes, Mining Efficiency, Amenities, Industrialist. Amenities has been moved down to Shipbuilding, and what was in Amenities' place is now Medicine. Okay. And this was actually a very interesting change, because now it made Amenities a little bit more valuable and Shipbuilding very difficult to get. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this with Industrious. Only food generating buildings can now have an extra worker when upgraded. So what this means is, when you upgraded your long docks, your woodcutters lodges, your breweries, your I don't know if it applies to scout lodges or not, but scout lodges, when you upgrade it, you only get 3 people now instead of 4. If you have a farm, fisheries, or a fishing hut, hunter's lodge, those will still give you 4. But only those food-based production facilities, if you will, give you the total 4. And with Amenities now removed, it's not the end of the world. I usually like to go Amenities unless I had an amazing spawn and I went Recruitment. Amenities was kind of more of like, if I was going for a massive trade victory, I wanted Amenities because I planned to stay in that small environment anyways, and then I would get barricades, and then there's no way you're gonna push my my 5 building tile with 13 villagers on it. There's just no way you're pushing into that. This sort of broke that up, but I don't think moving Amenities really did that much to the goat. I think Carpet Masteries and Industrious were actually of the more heavier nerfs, but it was not. I still feel like these lore changes were not enough to kind of equalize the goat in comparison to, say, the wolf. You know, I still think that I would rather go goat than I would wolf. But that's pretty much it for me, guys. We will probably be coming back to this probably within the next week or two to just see how it's doing overall and how it's been kind of received. I think that this is a very promising patch for Northgard, And I think there are some changes that might need to be considered, but other than that, this is a very good patch. I have very high expectations for it. So with that, I hope you guys have a good day, good afternoon, good night. I'll see all of you guys later, and let me switch to, there we go. I hope to see all of you guys later, and thank you for stopping by. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Play it. Come on. Start it. There we go. No, this isn't Korean, this is Japanese. No, this is not Korean. It's nice. It's really nice. Hang on. Boy, 2 memes in a row, holy shit.
I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm walking, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. When the money comes in for the work I do, I'll pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And if I broke, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's going over you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm lonely, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's lonely without you. And when I'm dreaming, well, I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. When I go out, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And when I come home, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home with you. I'm gonna be the man who's coming home with you.
Oh, shit.
But I would walk 500
Oh shit, he stopped! Oh.